Welcome, everybody, to the Sonoma Spiel. My name is Tim with the Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau. Last week, I talked about driving through Bennett Valley and how much I enjoyed that. Today, I didn't do that. Today, I parked my car behind the barracks in Sonoma, and I walked to the farmer's market, and you kind of get the sense of the bocce players having fun. I had seen a guy riding his bike all the way up Broadway, then kind of passed me because he's a lot faster. And I saw moms with their kids over there by the playground and the bike path, some scooters whizzing by, and a guy about to play some music. And then Pets Lifeline was actually there, and they had kittens that you could adopt, and they had a dog, and it was so much amazing. And it reminded me, so much about how our little town is defined by the characters that are part of it. And it's almost like a play, literally like that play, Our Town, where you have people with different roles, and they come and they go through your life. And how amazing that is. And it's, I enjoy that. And I love the fact that I get to work for a place and talk about all the different people that make up this amazing spot. But today I have a very special guest, somebody who knows a lot more about our little town here, somebody who is, dare I say, an expert. I know every week I say I have a very special guest. This time I actually mean it. I have got the mayor of Sonoma, Sandra Lowe. Sandra, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good. And should I call you Mayor Sandra? What's
I think
the proper?
Sandra works pretty well.
That's kind of the name you were born with, so people know that one.
I'm used to it.
Easy to remember.
Yep. I may not be the mayor forever, but I'll probably be Sandra till the day I die. There you go.
I like that one.
By the way, your camera things I don't see. And
yeah, you're still
right?
there. Yeah, you're still there.
Okay.
And then you come back. And that's a good reminder for people who don't know. We do put this on YouTube, and so you're watching this on YouTube. Great. You can see it. You can see it on the podcast, and you're wearing a beautiful pink shirt today.
Barbie pink with an emblem for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is a Sonoma Valley Firefighters shirt, Sonoma City Firefighters shirt. And everyone get out there and get your screening. October is the month.
To go do that. Good. That's a good reminder. So I should have led with that. I'll lead with that next time.
Okay.
And then say, if you haven't listened to the mayor, what you should have, go get screened.
Absolutely. So I did this week.
Good.
Easy as can be.
It's very important. Save lives, literally.
You bet.
So when you're not saving lives, Mayor Lowe, where are you from originally? Are you from Sonoma? Tell us about yourself.
No, I'm not originally from Sonoma, although I've been here almost 40 years. So I was born in the Los Angeles area in a place called Santa Monica, California.
I've heard
where
of
I was born.
Santa Monica. Beautiful pier down there.
Yeah.
And beaches and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, and that's where I was born, and I went through K-12 school in the Los Angeles Unified School District.
Okay.
And then I sort of headed north.
You said, forget it. I'm going to the undiscovered country.
And finished my college work at Cal.
Go Bears.
And go Bears.
Okay.
And, went overseas for a while and came back to LA for a short stint where I taught in the school district where I actually studied as a child, and then after that moved up here.
What were you teaching down there?
I taught math.
You're a math teacher?
I am a math teacher.
I'm already getting anxiety.
I know. I'm the dreaded math teacher, right? I mean,
Really?
And I could have been any kind of teacher, really.
Right.
I mean, as long as it was high school, I'm not really, managing a bunch of squirmy little kids is not my scene, even though I have 4 kids of my own. Big confession there.
Right.
My kids will agree with you, I'm sure.
That they were squirmy little kids. Yeah.
But high school was a thing, and I enjoy math.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's probably important as a mayor because you look at budgets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And but do you ever use the quadratic equation? And
occasionally.
Be honest, really?
If you know algebra,
right?
You might use it because you just what it is saying what's the missing piece in order to get to this other sum, and people probably use it and don't even think that it's algebra, and it is. So all you fantasy football players out there, I'm a big fantasy football player person. There's tons of math in there.
Wait, you could be doing the whole math teacher's guide to fantasy football. It probably is out there.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that you were big into fantasy football. Are you part of a league somehow? Or
I've actually been. I've had my own league for something like 12 years. This
Really?
is the first year I kicked it over to one of my other managers, and it's all women team. It's always been an all women team, and so for about the last 12 years, I've either managed it or I've been a part of this.
Okay, is your strategy, are you an active trader and like player, or are you sort of like set it and forget it?
I am constantly looking for new players.
You're a fiddler.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Tuesday I am on it to see who's injured and who I've got to replace. I'm a maniac on it.
Tell me you didn't have Aaron Rodgers
I did not.
Okay, good. Yeah. Playing all of 4 seconds.
I have Christian McCaffrey, so I'm doing well.
Okay, very good. I love that. So you're down in LA. You've got all your algebra stuff in a bag, and you're like, I'm going to head up north.
Right.
Is that what you did? You essentially decided to take the.
Yeah, I mean, I got married and had 2 little girls, and was my ex-husband. He's from a small town, so we were sort of, and I, of course, went to school up in Northern California, so we were just trying to find somewhere that sort of, I said, I have to be within 45 miles of a major city so I can go to the ballet and the opera and do all the things that I like to do.
Okay.
And yet, let's find a small town. Mm-hmm. And we settled on Sonoma, and it was just kind of, by luck, whatever, and I've been here ever since, raising my family, and how lucky could I be have chosen this place? Yeah.
Did you get a chance to take your teaching skills up here?
Yeah, I taught at Sonoma High.
Oh, you did? Okay, wait, go Dragons.
Go Dragons,
okay, good.
100%. I taught at Sonoma High.
What were you, math, I'm assuming?
Math. Okay. I did teach math.
You didn't switch all of a sudden to something else?
No. Okay. And because most of the kids that I taught in LA were Spanish-speaking kids, recién llegados, newly arrived to this country, and I had those skills. So most of my students were also their primary language was Spanish, and I said, I want all those kids. So
you did Spanish language math or ESL math or something like that. Okay.
Yeah. So that way, kids could come in at the level of math that they know and not have to wait to learn English in order to proceed in what they need to learn.
Math is its own language.
It is. It's actually the easiest one.
Yes.
It is. It is sort of a language. And it's universal a lot, but if you look at math books, there's a lot of language embedded in it and a lot of, just vernacular things. Like I remember one time there was something about a dinette set. I mean, my goodness. I mean, who the hell has one of them?
A dinette set. So if your grandma is doing math with you.
Then you're cool. Then you can figure it out.
How many doilies are on the dinette set?
Yeah, right? Yes. And, so, there's things that are impediments to people proceeding because they're just culturally not appropriate.
How did you learn Spanish?
I was lucky enough that we started learning it in my school in 5th grade.
That's great. Okay.
And it was just because I just always grew up in a very multicultural neighborhood. I tell people I heard 8 languages before I got home every single day. Many immigrants in the neighborhood where I grew up.
Right.
It was always felt okay. I'm pretty rusty now, but I can get by.
You can get there. Well, I think like LA, if it was like LA, probably Unified or whatever they called it back then, New York, Chicago, Detroit, Miami, all those places which are arrival points to this country traditionally, they always have, our district has 100 languages spoken.
Yeah.
And it's such an amazing thing to think about that you can walk down the street, like you mentioned, and just hear all different things, smell different foods, and have that experience.
Yeah, it was great. I taught it sort of in what they call the Pico Union corridor down in Los Angeles. And at first it was mainly kids from Mexico. Then it became, because of cultural and warring problems in Central America, it became mainly Central America. And then we had the first arrivals of people leaving Vietnam, and then a large Korean population. So there were, it was really interesting in terms of how people got there, where they came from, the kind of education that they had or didn't have.
Right.
And I learned everything I needed to know about teaching in that atmosphere.
Okay.
It was a great experience.
Do you think the things that you learned in teaching are applied to your current not paid job, or not highly paid job, just so people know, as mayor and like a city council member here in Sonoma?
Sure. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think I got a great background. I learned from some of the best people. And, the main thing is, you've got to be prepared. Mm-hmm. You have to know where you're going, and you have to get there, and you can't assume anything. And because everybody walks in with their own set of previous knowledge and ability levels, and somehow you got to get to the same point. Okay. So I think there's a lot of good lessons to learn from that.
What does the mayor of Sonoma do? Like, what's your day-to-day? What do you do?
My day-to-day job?
Are you in charge of putting in stoplights and stuff like that?
No. Are you talking about my actual job or my mayor job?
Well, the mayor job. Because a lot of people don't, most people mix up what the mayor does, what a city manager does,
right,
what a school district does. There's like all these different levels of government, and it seems that to your average resident, they're not quite aware that there's different jobs. Right. And different responsibilities. So what does the mayor do?
Well, we have a city manager style government in Sonoma. It's what they call a general law city, which is a city council that hires a city manager. And the city manager is basically your executive officer of the city and is in charge of the staff and the day-to-day operations of the city.
So the mayor is not punching time cards or something for the water people and the parks guys or something.
No,
like
our job is to hire the city manager.
Okay.
And their job is to then, work and create a staff position. So what our job really is to set policy and direction for the city manager and the staff.
Overall strategy of where this town wants to go.
Right.
Okay. And you get that job by the former mayor. You have to defeat them in battle. Is that correct?
It was yes. It was hand-to-hand combat. No, it was.
How does that work?
It's a little bit of a rotation. So what we have done, and it's the tradition of the city of Sonoma, is you're elected to the city council. Okay. And the city council annually selects from among the members who is the mayor.
So the 5 members of the city council,
right?
They all kind of get together.
Well, they do it in a public meeting. It'll happen again.
So
in
no
December.
horse trading, no smoke-filled rooms.
No, just Brown Act. Right, okay. So, and then that person is chosen, and usually it's fairly clear. It's either the most senior person or whoever has been the vice mayor and so forth.
So it kind of rotates around.
Right.
And how long is the term for?
It's a year.
Okay, that's not bad.
No.
Oh, so you didn't have to defeat Jack Ding in combat at all?
No. Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Would never do that. Jack's my butt.
maybe you guys did like a bake-off. Nothing, a dance-off?
Dance-off, I think.
That'd be fantastic.
Well, we've got a lot of dancers on the city council.
But you're actually a dancer in real life.
Like in real life.
Like a ballerina?
Yeah, I do ballet. Okay. And I actually, that's how I got through college. I taught when I was going to Berkeley. I taught for the city of Berkeley.
Plié for tuition? What?
Yeah,
for real?
Exactly. And I worked at a dance shop on Shattuck Avenue there. It was called Bentley's of Berkeley. Those of you who are tuning in and back in the day, you probably remember it. I had some very interesting clients there.
I imagine.
But that's how it was funny because when I was a kid, I studied my entire life, right. And everyone said, you'll never make any money as a dancer. And it turned out that's the only money I ever made up until, I went on and I actually got my first teaching job because they said, yeah, this is fine, but what else can you do? I said, well, I can teach dance. They said, you're hired. Uh-huh. So, because they needed someone to teach a section of dance. So I always tell people, and it's why I sort of did the Year of the Arts in Sonoma, it's like do that artistic thing. Right. Keep doing it because it makes you whole as a person, and you never know. It could be the exact thing that people are looking for. Mm. And honestly, my training in dance, I think saved my life in so many ways. Every day when other kids in high school were, what do you do after school? I know where I was after school.
Yeah, you weren't finding trouble.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about what my hairstyle was because I knew my hairstyle had to go with a bun on top of my head, and it was, My teachers were very, very strict. We all sat there, with our legs splayed and our books in front of us doing our work and did all of our homework and
while stretching out,
waiting in between class. I just, that's how I got everything done. And at the end of the day, when I was finished with all the classes that I did, I went home. And then I was in a little company, and so we traveled. And
so you kind of had friends, and you had your tribe of, like, these are my people, the dancers. And,
yeah.
And I think there's always a lot of that research that shows that, especially young girls at that kind of formative years, when they are involved in an activity or a club or a sport, it really can help long-term, success and building confidence and the ability to cope with things and stuff. And
yeah, that's great.
It shows the value of the arts. Were you ballet then? Because I don't really.
I did ballet, and the company I was in was sort of a modern company, but with a lot of sort of ballet training background in it. Yeah.
You weren't doing like weird herky-jerky avant-garde stuff?
Well, there's some of it was, yeah.
Okay.
There was, even if you go to San Francisco Ballet, you'll see they'll do some very experimental things like that, yeah.
But you hate that stuff, right?
No.
Oh, my God.
I love it all. I love it all.
You politician.
No, I do. I love it all.
Sandra, you mentioned the Year of Art, and we haven't mentioned that yet. But when you came in as mayor, after just being selected and not defeating Jack Ning in some sort of combat, you declared that you wanted the emphasis on the arts.
Right.
Can you tell me a bit more about that and what that means?
Well, I was looking for something that would sort of focus this year, because it is, you're a mayor for a year, and you're going to do the things you have to do. We had to hire the city manager. You have to approve, planning and the housing element and all of these things. And whether you think of it or not, you're going to do those things because that's just what's on the ledger and that's what you have to do. So I wanted to do something that was over and above that was something that would sort of reach out to people in a different way, because there's, not everyone's interested in, traffic circulation problems or they don't wake up and think about it. They think of other things. So when the Mark Bodenhammer said, well, we're going to do a Meet the Mayor, and he said, where would you like to do it? I said, and he named all the typical places that are wonderful.
Wine tasting room,
hotels,
venues,
and stuff.
Yep.
I said, let's do it at the art museum.
Right.
And he said, great. And of course, the art museum was very happy to do it. And they had an amazing exhibit there on like native Californians. Yep. It was a perfect spot. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? I'm going to dedicate this whole year to the arts. Okay. This is a great way to kick it off. And then it was like, so what does that look like?
Right.
And the first thing we did was look at the actual city council chambers, which had some rather typical, very pretty vineyard scenes. Okay, you've all seen
I love
these.
how you were being so nice. Most people who, I'm going to say 90% of residents in a town have never been in their city council chambers.
Right.
They might know where City Hall is, or have a rough idea.
And that isn't where we meet.
Which isn't where you meet.
No.
But most people who are living, and people listening to this around the world, probably don't go often to city council chambers. So they tend to be fairly utilitarian, especially if they're built a little bit later, not super exciting spaces. And yes, you're right. You usually have the city clerk or somebody will hang on the wall. Something that's, I call it the Applebee's version of decorating. They find something like the local high school, and then like an aerial of City Hall, which you're in, and then like a scenic, and they put on the wall. Right. But you changed that.
So we changed that. So now it's a roving art gallery.
I love it.
So the first thing that we did was we have a Sonoma treasure, and the treasure at the time was Pat Meyer Johnson, and who's an amazing painter. Yep. And so we reached out to her and said, can we hang your pictures inside the city council chambers? And that was the kickoff. And all of a sudden, instead of looking out at something fairly typical, we were looking out at actual art. Right. And I mean, she's an amazing artist. She's got a painting in the D. Young right now. Right. So
she does landscapes, I think, and
they're
portraits?
Sort of impressionist vignettes, whether of the area. Right. And you just look her up. She's fabulous. She has pictures down at the Alahai, I think, as well.
Right. MEIER-Johnson.
Yeah. So that's how it started, and then it's kept going. So what we have in there now are all of the Vintage Festival posters because we're in harvest.
Yeah.
And many of them have never been seen before altogether.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And so that's what's in there.
Okay.
And the Cultural and Fine Arts Commission, who really didn't have a lot to do, I'm keeping them very busy.
Like, the mayor wants new paintings.
New pictures.
We need them.
We're going to do
by
this.
January.
We're going for it. So anyway, there's a lot of people who this has touched because that is what motivates them. Right?
I love it because our offices, the visitor center, are in the Carnegie Library, a former Carnegie Library. It's now called the Carnegie Annex, and I've been trying to get different artists to provide art since I've got there, and it just didn't work. It didn't work. And when you finally primed the pump to do it, I got Kent Sorensen is a photographer, and I've approached every photographer. I'm like, you can hang it up, and then you can even, if people ask, we'll direct them to your website, right? And he's got a bunch of his stuff up at Carnegie now, and they're beautiful, right? Better than my, tourism posters are great, but I would rather support a local artist, and I'm really grateful that you were able to herd the cats because artists are very hard to they're wonderful. But to get them to respond and to bring stuff, it was killing me. And until I pointed out to the city council chambers, I'm like, that's kind of what I want.
Right.
And it's fantastic. It was a great idea.
Yeah. So we're going to keep doing that. Good. And then of course the big thing that we did that I'm just so proud of is that we put the bench for Ada Limon in front of readers' books.
And you made her poet laureate because you're mayor. Right? That's what you did?
I believe that was done by the Library of Congress.
Oh, whatever. They were taking your lead.
But,
tell me about that.
That was just, a remarkable day. So we, of course, learned that Ada Limon was the poet laureate of the United States. And, she grew up here. And, when I was in the school district, her dad was a principal in the schools. And so she's a born and raised Sonoman. Yeah. And I talked to the Cultural and Fine Arts Commission about what should we do because certainly poetry, arts, and letters go together. And, we had to do something really special. And she started off by working at readers' books. Okay. And I have been talking a lot about if we're going to get people to walk in Sonoma, we have to have benches.
Yes.
Because you can't just walk and not expect that you have to sit down at some point.
Correct.
Answer your phone, tie your shoe, have your coffee,
take
whatever.
A rest.
So I sort of put together this concept of let's have this bench and then let's dedicate it to Ada and let's put it in front of readers' books because that will be a place where people can get their book, have a coffee, take their selfie. Please go take your selfie on the bench and tag it because I'm so thrilled when I see those.
Right.
And Ada came here and we closed the street. Her elementary school teacher was here. Her high school teacher was here.
Go Dragons.
Go Dragons. And we had a lovely brunch afterwards. It was just a remarkable day. And as I tell people, all of the monuments in the Sonoma Plaza area, all dedicated to men, all dedicated to either war or wine. And so now we have a monument dedicated to a woman that isn't war or wine, but words. And it's just been pretty special.
I loved it. It was a great event. But I also like that you have some lines of her poetry on the bench.
Yeah, she chose that line from the poem. And yes, it's quite, and she read the poem. And honestly, it was all I could do to hold it together. It was so moving, really.
And she grew up across the street.
Looking
down, and she applied for a job when she noticed that the bookstore was opening. When she was 15 years old. Right. And that's,
she went over there and said, I'll never be late. I live across the street.
She would jump out the window. And
her mother is an artist and designs all the covers of her books.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And her mother has art also down the street at La Haye.
Oh, okay. And there's a great art gallery. It's the La Haye Art Gallery. And there's the Sonoma Arts Guild right there. I've spoken about this before on this podcast, but I'm going to ask you, why does Sonoma have such a good art scene for being such a small town? There's only 8,000 people in this town, right? Or maybe 9,000, I don't know. But it's not a big town. Yeah. And we're not a big valley. But for some reason, we have amazing performing arts. We have a lot of musicians. You mentioned the dance. We have 3 dance troupes and things like that. Why do you think we have so many arts for being such a small town?
I don't know. My guess is that, believe it or not, lots of small towns have them as well. But I think the important thing is that we care about them here. They may exist other places, but there's a real loving relationship between the arts and the people in Sonoma. And so it flourishes.
Yeah.
And the other thing is we get people from all over who decide to come here, and they bring their talents with them.
Right.
And so we're really fortunate that this is, Ada is a homegrown talent, but think of all the people that have come here that have had careers in big cities and so forth, and then they bring their knowledge and their treasure with them.
Right.
So we benefit from that because it's such an attractive place to come. And so people come here and they say, oh, by the way, I'm a dancer, I'm a painter, I'm a whatever.
I'm a
and
filmmaker.
they just like join. Yeah.
I mean, the ceramics at the Sonoma Community Center, which is a former elementary school turned into an arts/community center. It's amazing what they do over there.
It is.
And I thought the first time, ceramics, there's some lady with a potter's wheel. And then I see the whole program. And they go, oh, let me show you the fabric arts program. I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but I want to check it out. And they have this huge program on that, right? And they have dance up there. And that's all in one building. That's just one part of the valley.
Right.
And it's just crazy that we have, the Ballet Folklorico here, our own dance troupe, and then the Sebastiani kids, the Witchy Poo thing and all this stuff.
Oh, don't listen. Witchy Poo is coming up.
It's coming.
And I will be there.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Fantastic. You got to be. You're the mayor.
Well,
you got to do that too.
It's my kids all did Witchy Poo, and I love that show.
Let me get you back to being the mayor. What are some of the major annoyances about the job and some of the best parts of the job? And you don't have to name someone in particular, for example.
No.
You can just say, just say.
No. I have the same annoyances as everybody else. I want everything to be done faster.
Okay.
Build it faster, better.
Right.
I mean, I'm just as frustrated when, you and I have talked about this before about the bike racks.
Right.
They're on order and they're back ordered, and I must get at least once a week somebody saying, how come we don't have bike racks at the plaza? And I write them back. And by the way, I answer my emails, I answer my phone calls.
That's good.
So if anybody wants to reach me, just please go on the Sonoma City website. You can find out how to reach me, and I'm happy to reach out to anybody. So, they're on order. And they're back ordered.
I feel like I'm the annoyance now of the bike racks.
I promise not to make it personal, Tim.
I think David, the city manager's blocked me. I keep texting him.
No, but that's okay. I mean, honestly, we inherited, meaning this particular council, me in particular as mayor, we inherited no bike racks for years.
Right.
So we're going to move that needle.
And it's also amazing coming out of COVID where everyone bought bicycles.
Right.
And they're like, this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I still see a lot of people doing it. And so now it is kind of funny because now they're, as we've talked, they're stuck to trees and benches and whatever.
No, we're going to have them. We've ordered them. And then we're reaching out to businesses. One, this weekend I connected with, and the city manager texted me today and said, remind me what the business that wants the bike rack. And I called them, and we're getting that going.
Oh, I know Chris from Caddis, he emailed me last week. He also wants one too. So
and just send a note to me or city manager saying, hey, we'd like, we're on it. There's a lot of back, during COVID, what happened with just everything is on back order, but it is happening. So that's my annoyance. It's not the people. It's I want it to happen, and I want it to happen right away. And I want to cut the red tape. I want to get it done. Right. And I'm just as frustrated by it. So when people say, "Oh, how come it took so long for such and such to open?" And how many?
That's gotta be annoying.
It is,
because you're like, I actually want this.
100%.
And it's a big ship. And once you go up a layer, county bigger ship, state bigger ship, it's hard to move that thing. And I bet you.
But we're making some changes in terms of permitting and so forth, because we have to make it easier and better for people. And so I guess that's my and I think that's the same annoyance everybody has. Right. But I make no excuses for it. I think we can do better, and I think we are doing better. And I just always tell people, before you get on Nextdoor, call me. Maybe I can tell you what to do with this problem.
Well, that's okay. What? Nextdoor. Next Door is so funny because I've always wanted to do sock puppet theater with Next Door posts, some of the best ones out there. Because for those who don't know, for the one person listening that doesn't know, Next Door is where you go to complain about your neighbors without calling them out by name or walking across the street and talking to them in person like a normal human being should do. Has Next Door been a good or bad thing for being in local government?
I unlike, I would say, most of my colleagues on the city council, I am a social media person. So I want to know what's going on.
Right.
And a lot of people reach me via social media.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
They slide into my DMs, as they say. So, and that's okay.
Okay. You don't mind that at all then?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. Because I know where the delete button is.
Right.
And if I have to, I will do that. But everybody's been super respectful, usually kind of shocked. Oh, my God, you wrote me back? I'm like, of course I did. Why not?
Right.
And so I don't mind it because I know what's going on. I kind of get a pulse of the public, if you will.
Right.
And, I look at it. So when something like is posted from the Index Tribune and there's a whole lot of comments about it, I look at them. I'm like, okay, here.
Just kind of quick feedback.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So it is the way we communicate these days. So I don't mind it at all.
Okay. Sometimes I notice people, though, will often be less polite and less. Sometimes people are just mean on there, and they don't need to be, right? Because there's a human being on the other side of that screen, and I often see rather than attacking an idea or offering alternatives, they attack the person, and it's so easy to do that when it's near anonymous, right? And but that person's like you're doing your job, and you're doing your best. So rather than saying so and such is terrible, just say I don't like this idea because, but I think we should do this. And it's funny because you have much better conversations that way.
Absolutely.
But I think you probably have to have a thick skin to be the mayor.
I have a thick skin anyway, so.
You can handle it. You mentioned earlier, you kind of hinted that you actually have a normal day job? Like you don't have a private jet and driver as mayor? So so how do you normally pay the bills? Like how does that work?
After I was a teacher. I was the president of my local teachers union here in Sonoma, the Valley of the Moon Teachers Association. And I sort of went on in that arena to end up working for the California Teachers Association for over 20 years as I bargained contracts in Mendocino County, and then I went on and did political work in the Bay Area for them and went on to be their governmental relations manager in Sacramento. After I got sort of hired away from that job to go run the Democratic Party for 2 years in 2017 and 2018 when the party flipped the majority of the congressional seats that we've ever had, and as far as that side of the aisle is concerned. And after that stint for 2 years, I decided I didn't want to go back and forth to Sacramento and moved basically, stayed at home and I went into private consulting. And so I do a lot of policy and ballot measure work. Right now I'm working on what's called ACA 1, which is Cecilia Aguiar Curry's measure. Cecilia Aguiar Curry represents the city of Sonoma in the state legislature in the assembly. And what it will do is lower the threshold for passing housing bonds, just like we did for school bonds. So when I worked for CTA, we lowered the threshold for passing school bonds from 66 2/3 to 55%. And we want to do the same thing for housing because there's no more money in Sacramento through redevelopment and some of these other ways that cities got money to build. And, for a little town like Sonoma, for example, we could pass a housing bond and maybe do some of the things that people are wanting us to do to build some workforce housing, missing middle, et cetera. So I'm working on that. I've worked on other issues, consumer privacy, making sure that kids aren't exposed to creepy people on the internet, and several other ballot measure work. So I that's what I do.
So ballot measures are weird for people outside California, where we seem to have so many ballot measures. Some states have them, but I don't think anyone has as many as California. We have to get so many signatures, right? And then a ballot measure. We the great unwashed vote on an actual law that then the legislature and the governor have to adhere to, usually. Do you have to get a lot of signatures to get on the ballot?
Oh, yeah.
Does it vary?
Over a million.
So are you in front of every Safeway?
No.
Well,
ACA 1 was put on by the legislature.
Oh, so the government can put one on too?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's two ways to get on the ballot. One is through direct signature gathering, and the other is through legislative referral.
Okay.
And so, and the signature gathering is extremely expensive. It's it works to qualify a ballot measure is somewhere around $10 million.
Whoa. Okay. So you got to commit. So if I just say like everyone gets free chocolate on Friday, I have to have a lot of money ready to get on the ballot.
And, people always complain about ballot measures. And then you ask them, because I look at a lot of public opinion polling in my job, do you think we should get rid of ballot measures? No. It's our right to do it. Do you like ballot measures? No. They're ridiculous and stupid. But it's one of the things that people hate, and yet, if put in front of them, they'll vote on the color of the carpet in the library. I mean, they will, so it's just kind of an ironic thing. It's how California governs. I don't think it's a good method, even though I work in it, but it's the method we have.
It's not that democracy is the best option. All the others have been tried, right? So they say. We're going to trade. Speaking of initiatives, we're going to take this initiative and we're going to go back to you helping me out with some things. Ready? Because you've lived here since the 80s, you said, I think I heard. And when you packed up your bag of algebra and moved north. And
I did.
You've probably had a lot of people come visit you and stuff like that, right?
They do.
They come. I mean, when you live in Sonoma, people come visit you. Right. And I'm not going to impugn the good name of Topeka, but I bet you if you move there, you probably wouldn't have as many visitors to Topeka, although I'm sure it's lovely. Right. That's what I'm trying to say. And good. So, as you know, we have 2 visitor centers. We have staff that work there. We have volunteers. People text us. They ask us questions. You're going to help me answer some questions in a thing that we call We Get Questions.
Okay.
You haven't seen these questions?
Have not.
Okay. This is sort of like the Academy Awards or something like that, right? You haven't
Okay.
seen it. Okay.
The envelope, please.
This envelope, please. This one comes from the Sonoma Springs Facebook page. So that's a good question. And the question is, wine folks, where would you recommend wine tasting for out-of-town visitors, TIA? And I don't know if they're calling someone an aunt in Spanish or just saying thanks in advance. But wine folks, where would you recommend wine tasting for out-of-town visitors?
Wow. Well, I would always tell them to go to the city of Sonoma, of course, because you can walk around the Sonoma Plaza and there's so many there.
Absolutely.
And I was just at an opening of a new winery in the Wine Alley, and they had sort of a open tasting thing on Wednesday, and it's just great. They're small wineries and they're mom and pop shops, if you will. So that's fun to do. Plus, you don't have to drive. You can walk.
Right. Good.
And then I always tell people go see the historic Buena Vista because it's the first winery in California. And the thing that makes Sonoma different from all other wine country places is we're authentically historic. And other places, the wine, they may have the best whatever, fanciest restaurants, but we're actually the authentic home of wine.
We don't need a faux chateau.
No.
We've got the real deal.
Yeah, so go, see something historic.
Right.
Go around the plaza.
Okay.
And then find something that's like out in the country somewhere that takes you on a nice drive, not in Sonoma County, but not in our valley. I just happened to be invited to an event last night out in Windsor, the Russian River Appalachian area at La Crema.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd never been there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's gorgeous. It's your neck of the woods.
It is. Yeah, it's really pretty up there.
And it was so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And, but what was nice was just the beautiful drive. Mark West, Slessor Road.
It is so pretty, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
I know. That's why I start my podcast talking about it, just because it really is. There are a lot worse commutes out there.
Right.
And so it's a beautiful, and you're right.
So go take, and then also, I'll give a pitch for my friend Joyce Sterling, who owns Iron Horse
Good
Vineyards.
Stuff. Yeah.
And if you want bubbles, it's a beautiful drive. And then when you get up there, you have the most spectacular view of all time.
It's in the Green Valley region of the Russian River Valley. It's so nice on the way to Sebastopol. So okay, good answer. All right, good. So that's pretty good. Okay, you passed that one.
Okay,
good job. You ready for the second one?
You bet.
Last Friday, I was bringing the cart in. It was around 6 o'clock. I leave the cart out. I'm still working there. And as I was going around the corner, a guy was looking up at the trees. And he was like kind of looking at it. And I said, "Sir, can I answer your questions?" And he's from Minnesota. And his question was this: are there redwood trees on the plaza? And are they redwood trees or sequoias? Do redwood trees lose their leaves? Where can we see redwood trees around here? He really wanted to talk about redwood trees. This guy was from Minnesota, very interested. So, are there redwood trees on the plaza?
I don't think so. Yes?
There's a couple, yeah.
There's a couple?
But they're not like, they've been planted there.
Right.
Okay, right. So they're not like the historic, classic Jurassic
Look
Park
at the front of
redwood trees.
Sonoma Valley High School. There's a beautiful grove of redwood trees right there.
You're right. I bet you when you used to pull up there for math class, you would.
Yeah, and it was always very important that we maintained those trees.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful grove of redwood trees right there to get an example. Right. And somebody told me something about redwood trees, and I do not claim to be an expert on trees.
You're not a
you would have to talk to Ron Wellender, my colleague.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He knows a lot about those sort of things. But most of the water that they need, and they do need quite a lot of water, comes from like the fog and the ambient air, and not so much the water on the ground. So having the fog that we have, and when we don't have foggy days and whatever, it hurts our redwood trees.
So it's important to have fog. That's a good one. So so a lot of redwood trees. We do have some here in Sonoma. There's a couple on the plaza, but you're right, they're not historic. They were planted by human beings. But there's groves up in Jack London State Park.
Yes.
There's groves on Sonoma Mountain. And then, as you mentioned, going to the Russian River Valley, that's where the redwood forest really takes off. Sonoma Valley, as you get closer to the bay, it's different types of soil, right? So it's different types of trees. We have oak woodlands. We have some redwoods.
Yeah, there's some, as I walk home, there are some redwoods, even in my neighborhood.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
I love them. And the answer is redwood trees do not lose their leaves. They are evergreens, right? But there's another question. He said, are they redwoods or are they sequoias? And this is a trick question. Because
I thought that is their proper name is sequoia.
Good job. See, you do know more than you know, right? So there's the coast redwood, which is what we are known for. And then most Californians will call the coast redwoods redwoods.
Yeah.
And then the giant sequoia, which is actually usually in the Sierras, we call those the sequoias. But you're right. They're both Latin terms are sequoia.
Right. It's the genus and the species of the plant.
Right. Well, okay, now you're going too far for me. But yes. And so you've answered that question. Great job. So the answer is, if you want to see redwood trees, go down to Sonoma Valley High School, go Dragons. Or
there's a lovely grove of them there.
It really is nice, actually. And if I was, some of the kids, they order from the taco truck across the street now, and the taco truck will bring the food across for these high school kids, which is really smart. They eat underneath the redwoods. I said,
Perfect.
That's better than a taco underneath a redwood tree.
Nothing.
That's right there. Okay, this one came in via email. This one's a serious mayor one.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
I'm fascinated by the ducks in the plaza. There were a group of 5 misfit ducks who were always in the round fountain in front of City Hall. They've left that fountain, and I haven't seen a duck in there for at least a month. Anyway, there are a lot of ducks, but never any ducklings. Why? Predators? Duck birth control? These are emails we get.
There are ducklings.
You've seen them?
I have.
You've seen the ducklings?
Yes.
So there is not a hawk swooping down, eating all the ducklings.
There are definitely ducklings there, and the person that can find them the best is my granddaughter Sky. She knows where they're all. She knows how to find all of them, and so I was on the plaza with her a couple months ago, and there are certain bushes by that round fountain where they're underneath, but. Like all migratory birds, they might leave at some portion of the year, but there are definitely ducklings. Are there predators? Absolutely. We, every ecosystem has its predators, and I don't think the Sonoma Plaza, we're not like, it's not lions and tigers and bears, oh my, but there's got to be, there are things that
They'll probably get a duck or a duckling.
Yeah.
So there's not an official, as far as we know, city program for duck birth control?
Not at all.
There's no prophylaxis?
No.
Okay. That's a bad joke. Sorry about that. You passed.
Oh.
You passed the questions.
I didn't know it was a test.
That was to become a volunteer or you didn't know this. I'm actually signing up for volunteer shift now at the visitor center.
I'd be happy to do that.
Oh, see, I've always wanted the VIP volunteers.
I'm happy to do that.
That would be fun.
Yeah, last weekend for the opening of Monday Bakery, there was a line for hours.
Very long line.
And I decided, well, you know what? I'm just going to hang out for 2 hours and just visit as people are in line.
Right.
Keep them company. Just talk to them. Welcome. See what they're, whatever. I enjoyed it. And people, there was all kinds of good ideas and people asking questions, and it sort of, it's like, here's your chance, you're stuck in line. Tell me what you want me to know. Or
you did it. The former alcalde Patrick, he will often sit at the other bakery, Boulangerie, at Basque. He'll pick up our visitor guide. He'll come over to my office, and he will do it this afternoon because it's on Fridays, around 4:00, and he'll pick up a stack of these. And then he'll just hand out them to random people, and because he loves to talk to people, as you know.
I do.
Now, Monday Bakery, did you get a chance to get in there? Because the line was long. And
everyone said, "Go ahead, Sandra." I said, "No. I'll have plenty of time. I want all the people to try it out." But I did. I waited till Monday, and before I went to City Hall, I picked up a few things for folks, and it was wonderful.
It's good. I've only gotten coffee there because they were sold out every time I get there.
Yeah. They're very popular, and I love the fact that they're right across from Reader's Books and the Ada Limon bench, and you can get your croissant and your coffee and sit on the bench. And I want to do the same thing on the west side of Napa Street because, there's great businesses, around the plaza. And so if we have benches and exciting monuments to visit and bakeries and coffee shops and whatever, then people will go that way.
They'll go that way. Shade and stuff to bring you down that way. Shade, trees. Yeah.
We need trees. We need shade on West Napa Street. We desperately need it.
It is. It gets a little warm. Yeah. On that walk in the summer, so it's absolutely. But I think you're right. Improving and putting in benches and doing small little things. Yeah. I love that. That's gonna be.
I think that would be really great, and then give people a reason to walk down that way.
Right. Wine. We have a wine question for you. What is your favorite type of wine?
I love wine. My son is a second level sommelier, so I do a lot of wine tasting around the old house, you know, and I like sort of the extremes. I like very fresh, light, sort of Sauvignon Blanc, French style wines, Loire style wines, and I also like deep, rich Zinfandels and Cabs, you know.
But you're not going to say it? Merlot.
Didn't I just say
Merlot.
You mean Merlot? I've heard that before. Merlot. Yes. I just got a card from somebody who called me Merlot. Yeah, I like Merlot.
But I didn't know that your son is a wine educator.
Yeah, he is. So then someone started with the Merlot thing, which was really funny. When I was teaching, it was Miss Lowrider, and now I'm Merlot. So that's cool.
Your life comes. It's the changes through the life.
I mean, when your last name is Lowe, people
they go for it.
They'll figure out something.
They go high.
It's all very amusing.
Yeah, it's all there. No, Mary, if people want more information, let's start with the city of Sonoma as our partner. I believe the website is sonomacity.org.
It is.
I should have looked that up before. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then if people want to connect with you about city issues, is there like a tab on there they can find how to connect with you?
It's not a tab, but you just click on the city council, and my cell phone number and my email will be there.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And you're gonna, when your mayorship is over, you're still on city council.
I am.
Okay.
I'm on city council until next year. Where I'll run for re-election.
Okay.
Next year.
You're not gonna, but you can now announce you run for governor on this podcast if you want.
No, I'm not running for governor. I'm running for city council next year.
Very well. All right, but when you do run for governor, you can come back and announce it on the podcast.
You'll be the first to know.
Thank you. Benches up and down California. We're going to put it on the ballot.
Yeah.
So, Mayor Lowe, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
And encourage everybody, if you are a resident of Sonoma, pay attention, see what's going on, make suggestions, and ask how you can help, because that's how we kind of get things done, is kind of working together. And if you're a visitor to Sonoma Valley, make sure you go to sonomavalley.com, check out everything that's happening here, deals, special offers, events, including all the cultural arts and things that are happening. If you're listening this long in the podcast, like, comment, subscribe, give us 12.5 stars, whatever it is, so other people will do this. Dad, thanks for listening this long, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.